Let's head over to the last group here. That's right. I said the last group. We did not do top 10 tight ends. Hard pass on that.
What?
Quarterbacks here. Carson Beck's number one for me. I just Corey said it, dude. His processing's so good. He's so good in the intermediate and the short area. His passing's excellent. We just don't know about the arm strength or his ability to really make those deep ball throws. But we made the comps to Matt Ryan, like kind of system QB-ish, but those guys work. We just saw Michael Penix go in the 8th, so why not? But anyway, sorry. I don't see how Carson Beck falls out of like a top 15 pick. Like he might not be QB1 when everything's said and done, but I don't see him falling out of like the first round.
Yeah, and I don't want to rehash him too much because I feel like we've talked about him quite a bit over the past couple of weeks. But at least for anybody who's just hearing this for the first time, like with the Matt Ryan comparison, like there is some parts of his game that do feel like a little bit higher floor because – I mean, Matt Ryan, even that comparison, that's like a perennial top 10, top 12 quarterback. But like seeing top 5 levels, very rare for those types of quarterbacks without the ability to add the rushing element to the game, which is never going to be his strong suit. And I mean, even nitpicking a little bit, I think there's some improvement to do with the deep ball as well. But other than that, still very excited about his prospects. The processing and the speed of processing that he has is one of the most translatable skills to the next level for a quarterback, in my opinion. So I feel very good about him at least being a first-round pick, potential top 10 pick, potential top 5 pick, because I think the NFL is going to love this type. I worry about the fantasy ceiling at the next level a little bit.
Yeah. And that nails it. Connor Wegman is always hurt. This will be his first year healthy, hopefully, with probably the worst passing weapons he has at his disposal. But he's looked good, like in spurts. He's only had his two healthy games with Evan Stewart last year. They combined for 300 yards, passing, which was wild. Like 29 receptions for like 300 yards. He's a really good quarterback. He's still recovering. You watch the spring game. It's a terrible showing, like 5 for 14, like 39 yards. He was clearly still hurt, just wanted to touch the field. So he's still coming back from injury. We've seen him with some amazing flashes, but he would be this year's like young, early declared quarterback. If there is one, I think it would be Wegman.
Yeah, I think the biggest question too is who's going to step up in that wide receiver core for him without Evan Stewart there. It's kind of like a group of like good enough wide receiver, no one that we're like super excited about. But I think that's also an opportunity for Wegman to rise the team around him and be somebody we can get excited about in that way. Because that's one of the traits we always talk about with quarterbacks is if you're a guy who can raise the team around you, as Tom Brady made a career of doing this, like raising all the guys around him. If you can prove that you can do that and get them to play their best ball or just deliver the best ball the best way that you can, that's going to be a lot of brownie points in Connor Wegman's favor. So he could definitely climb as high as this. I feel good about that projection if everything goes the way that we think it will.
Let me ask you this question just right now. Is there anybody outside Carson Beck you feel comfortable saying is a first rounder? Not that there won't be one that gets up there, but just that right now you feel comfortable.
There has to absolutely be one that gets up there. There has to absolutely be one that gets up there. I just don't know who it's going to be. I think this group is just wide open right now. I think Connor Wegman is a good choice. I think if he bounces back the season, stays healthy the full season, puts up numbers with the ragtag group of wide receivers he has, I think that's first round potential there for him. Jackson Dart has just never seemed to have the love.
QB3 Jackson Dart
QB3
for us.
Yeah, so we haven't even gone through the rest of the list here. But yeah, I don't know if a lot of these guys would have to have, like, if we were just saying everybody here has the best season that they could, not the best season, but at least has a good season. Like I think Drew Aller still has some good traits. I think Connor Wegman, I think Carson Beck. And
let me finish reading through the list before we get into these discussions. Yeah. 3 was Jackson Dart. Number 4 was Quinn Ewers, quarterback from Texas. Number 5 is Drew Aller, Penn State QB. Number 6 is Garrett Nussmeier, LSU QB. I think he's too low. We'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. Number 7, Cam Ward, the Miami QB. We're talking about 3 Miami players tonight. Number 8 is Will Howard, the Ohio State QB. Number 9 is Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado football team player guy. And then number 10, you got Preston Stone from SMU. Going back to Jackson Dart. We're talking about like if there's another guy that has round 1 potential. Jackson Dart has shown consistent development and improvement And like he's the guy that I'm not saying round 1, but I don't see him falling out of day 2, you know? And last time I said that, which was last year, and both those guys got drafted like first round, so that was kind of I think Jackson Dart's like a safe day 2 plus type of guy. Like he can improve, but I think he like locked in day 2.
Yeah, former gunslinger type guy, but really like reined that in last year while still being uber productive as well, which is exactly what you want to see. You want to see those mistakes be reeled in, but you still want to maintain the same level of production, the same level of aggressiveness, and even a mobile threat as well. Not a guy who's just a zero on the ground is rushing. I don't think he's ever going to be, Lamar Jackson on the next level, but he's a guy that's at least going to be able to move the chains and bring a little bit of that dynamic to the next level as well. So a guy with great arm talent as well, great size. There's a lot of things that the NFL should like over there. But for some reason, they just always seem to ding these Ole Miss players because of the system that they seem to play in. But yeah, hopefully Jack Stark can at least come above that narrative.
He had his highest pressure to sack rate last year. First 2 years, 8%, 9%, and then last year it was like 19.1%. It didn't feel that way watching him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really did feel like he navigated better. I know the offensive line was not good last year, but I did feel like he did better taking care of the mistakes too. Like if he took a few sacks, fine, but his turnovers were cut way down.
Yeah, and I think that could be part of the process of him figuring out his preferred method of playing, which is like, you know what, maybe I was going to be super aggressive here and try to fit this in and get a turnover like I usually would have. Instead, I'm just going to hold on. I'm going to take a sack. And then instead of turning the ball over, it's becoming a sack. But now he needs to elevate his game from I'm taking a sack to I'm taking my check down or I'm taking my throw the ball out of bounds or something like that. That's the next step he needs to obviously take to limit like that sack factor. But yeah, it did increase quite a bit this year for him too.
I will say this, like he doesn't play up to his competition. Like his worst games were Alabama and Georgia last year, and actually Vandy, which is kind of weird. But if you just ignore that blip, like Georgia, Alabama were bad games.
Mm-hmm.
He punishes terrible teams. He's really good at it. But I think he like can't rise up to the occasion sometimes.
Yeah, he'll be an interesting guy to evaluate over the offseason. Because maybe somebody who's just been productive enough, but a lot of these guys underneath him have the chance to, I think, really surprise us this year if they can at least bounce back some of them or at least take that next step in development for a lot of them as well.
Let's go on to number 4, Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers, if he doesn't improve, I could see an NFL team putting on their Bob the Builder hat and saying, I can fix him. And take him in like
the question, though, do you think he can improve? Where are you on Quinn Ewers? Do you think he can improve over the next year? Or do you think he's lost cause?
Oh, okay. I don't think it's a lost cause, but my faith in his improvement has definitely diminished.
I think that's a fair way to say it. I mean, it's the political answer, but I think it's the right answer.
I don't think he makes it the first round. I don't think there's enough steps in his long ball development from his last year to this year, or from his second year to his third year. I don't think there's enough development there for me to feel like, yeah, he's getting the long ball. He just has to get some more reps in. Like yeah. So I
completely different cast of players at wide receiver as well. He's going to have to regain chemistry with, and I mean, it's already one thing he was missing with the guys who have been there for quite a while. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year for Quinn Ewers from this year. Very pivotal for his thing, but I mean, he's still looking at pretty highly in those mocks right now. But at least a day 2 selection, I think.
I would count on him as a backup at this point in time. Maybe like plus, but like for now, like backup feels like the safe bet.
Okay, so at number 5, I say that this. I'd say people think that we're probably this is probably our craziest ranking is maintaining number 5 with Drew Aller. And I think that this is just purely, I would speak for both of us, but this, and again, quarterback evaluation is incredibly hard, but this is just a traits evaluation. This is just hoping that it's a step forward that we're hoping that we're going to see this year, that maybe we were hoping we would have saw last year, but let's give him a little bit of lenience for that first year starting. And hopefully we see that step that we wanted to see this year. If that doesn't happen, this could be the guy that completely falls out of this list altogether.
I think there is some coaching in him. Like, what do you have? Two interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And like Penn State fans want to point to that. And I don't think that's like bad. Like his turnover worthy plays are like 2.9. I don't know what it is, but I really do feel like it's a coaching issue and not a player issue for him. So I'm kind of like giving him like the benefit of the doubt and being like, the coach just kind of messed him up and we're telling him not to do certain things and just play the ball safe and make the game of football boring. We're not going to turn the ball over. We're just going to win the old school way. And I think Andy Kotelnicki might turn it around. But like Yeah. Anyway, I think this is the coaching staff's fault, and I agree with what Corey said. We're still in on the traits, the build, the protocol size, all that. We still believe in all that. We think he needs proper coaching, and we're hoping Andy Kotelnicki brings that in.
The shakiest ranking, I would say, in our top 10, or no? Yeah, but there's some guys near the bottom though. But I mean,
which one would you rather right now? Quinn Ewers. Oh, well, we have our rankings right here, but like, who do you think has the highest risk? Let's put it like that: Drew Aller or Quinn Ewers?
Probably Drew Aller, because I think Quinn Ewers at least has a draftable floor. Drew Aller, if he looks again like shit, like, are we heading down a DJU trail with Drew Aller? That's where I start to worry with him. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair statement. All right, number 6, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is going to be this year's breakout QB. Like, this will be the one that gets into the first round.
Here's my biggest thing with him is, like, we're talking about the traits, and we love traits, and I think that's a big thing the NFL loves to also harp on. I don't know what's imposing about Garrett Nussmeier. I don't think he has a rocket for an arm. He does not an imposing size guy. He's not imposing with his legs. Like, I don't like where do you think Garrett Nussmeier's like elite trait is there to take him to the first round? Is it just processing for you? Is it just like, what is that for you that you think Garrett Nussmeier can be so good at?
I think his processing is good. I don't
think it's terrible either. Like, I don't like, this is our 6th ranked quarterback. I don't think this is a bad spot. I'm trying to get on that first round level that you guys are all at.
Oh, this is like my projection for breaking out. This isn't like, he's not there today. I think he's going to ball out. Like, I think he's going to ball out. He's got a fantastic offensive line. I think the arm is like how Austin talks about the Joe Burrow line. Like, the arm is good enough. It's not nothing you want to like write home about. It's good enough.
Yeah.
And so if you
but that's my problem with him, is everything just feels good enough. I feel like I just want to see a little bit more from him. And maybe I'll be able to see that this year. And maybe I'm holding too much reserve and not projecting enough. But it's just like, it's hard for me to project enough without those intangibles, those wow traits that are going to make me say, like, oh my God, like, look at like that arm at the next level, they're going to want to get their hands on. Like, I just don't see that with him. So it's like, I don't know. It's harder for me. I think there's more risk there in ranking him this highly, because if he doesn't, then he doesn't have those traits to even fall back on as a draftable asset.
I think for me, this is more about scarcity NFL level and him being good enough and being a system QB. It's more like that. It's like, there will be a need for quarterback. There currently still is a need for quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think he's going to show enough that he can be a reliable system QB, like one of those.
I do like his moxie, man. Like, to me, I think when I watch Garrett Nussmeier, I think there is some, like, and I don't necessarily mean this from exactly a play style. I think the size is a little bit off too, but I think I see some like Baker Mayfield there.
I was going to think about that too, but a little bit more mature, maybe
a little more mature. Yeah.
Or like less acting out against a crowd type of thing. He's not going to grab his nuts. He's not going to
grab his nuts. Yeah. But he's got that moxie. Like, a team seems to gravitate towards him. Like, that's what their reports have been. He's a very, very team
locker room guy, but not in an insulting way. The way we say it. Number 7 for me is Cam Ward. Everyone's hopping on the Cam Ward train. I love the improvising skill set, and that's one thing that we've always talked about as being intangible. He was a 5th round grade by Dane Brugler, and Dane Brugler asked a number of scouts, and they all said 5th round as well. Why are we having him as a 1st rounder already? Like, that's a steep jump. Like, that's a very steep jump. Like, Garrett Nussmeier is a bit of a mystery box, so there's no like negative against it. But we watched Cam Ward for a couple of years, and we keep harping on about Quinn Ewers' deep ball. Like, Cam Ward's deep ball is not that much better than like Quinn Ewers is, I think, right now.
Well, it's been a slow progression for Cameron Ward, but there has at least been improvement. You come from the FCS level, then you come into your first year at Washington. He's still learning the ropes. The second year, which was like, we saw some improvement. I thought we saw some legitimate improvement. Now,
crushed the non-con games.
That's a big jump come from FCS to Power 5. He didn't even go like to G5, like, and then take his time getting there. You know what I mean? He went right to Power 5, and then you saw the learning curve a little bit. And now I think that there is some hope there for me, at least, that I'm going to see that jump again here. Hopefully becoming a more well-rounded quarterback, being able to attack those receiver parts of the field. There was improvement. I really do think there was. And that mixed with his incredible pocket instincts, like otherworldly. Like, I was just talking about nothing elite about like Garrett Nussmeier to me. Elite pocket maneuverability, mobility around the line of scrimmage, and extending the play. Cameron Ward is elite at that. He just has to pair the other things with it.
Yep. Is Miami back?
That's a third? Is that the third Miami player we thought? No, that's nice.
That's third. Restrepo.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Martinez, Cam Ward. Miami back. Next is Will Howard. Ohio State came from Kansas State. I guess I'll talk about him since I'm the Will Howard guy here.
Yeah. You stole that.
Kansas State never had that much.
You can have it now.
Kansas State never had that much of a supporting cast. Like their top two receivers were like 5'7" guys. And I just thought Will Howard led that team to victory more often than he should have. He almost had a nice comeback victory against Texas too. Like they're down like 21-0, I think, like at the half, and they almost brought it back. Went to overtime and they couldn't win it in overtime. But like Will Howard's done amazing things in college football, and the reports out of Ohio State for the spring aren't that good. And I think you should give some grace period to like help like do with some adjustment period stuff. Watching the spring game, he didn't really like outplay Devin Brown. Like each like neither one of them did. I don't think either one really has the edge. I mean, the edge would go to Will Howard because I assume they paid him to be there, so that would be a very clear edge. But the leash is short, is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah,
maybe he's just a better guy in the game than he is at practice. But talking about the tools and the traits, though, like he has some really nice mobility for his size. Like he can move, he can scoot. Like you watch like Avery Johnson highlights and his highlights, like they look like the same runner, but Will Howard's 6'4", 240.
Maybe not the same burst, obviously, but I mean like, he had some wheels on like that 60-yard touchdown he had. Like dude, I think it was last year. Like yeah, he had some wheels.
He had some wheels, yeah. So I believe in like the traits are here. And I've always been saying, I said this too for Kyle McCord last year, like you just got to be good enough at Ohio State to get recognition. And like, I guess Kyle McCord wasn't exactly like good enough to get the recognition. So it almost feels like Will Howard's heading down the Kyle McCord path, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. He's here at 8. Obviously there's not 8 first round QBs. So this isn't like us saying that we think he's going to be a first rounder, but I could see him. I'm fading, but I'm keeping the faith that I think he has potential to get there. Otherwise,
I was going to say, I wonder if he would have ended up at 8. Given the way you're talking now, I wonder if you've lowered him a little bit. But I don't know if he'll ever end up below number 9 for you.
He's lowered for me. I have him down here at. Yeah, I don't want to say it out loud. I have him at 11. But I have him behind. I see the upside, bro. I don't care about Cam Ward. That deep ball is bad. Shadur's like a backup quarterback at best. Preston Stone, I think, could be like a nice mystery box type dude.
Yeah. We still have to see a little bit more from him. That's our 10th ranked quarterback.
And then that would be it in this class. There's like nobody else in this class to me that has potential to even be drafted, outside of like DJU might be like a 7th round pick, but who cares?
Even just talking about Shedeur Sanders, I guess, for the people, because I know a lot of people are taking Shedeur Sanders as like the first running quarterback off the board in like your Devy supplemental drafts right now, like before Carson Beck, before anybody else is available, like Shedeur Sanders going first. The hype has gotten to like out of control levels. I just do not think this guy is a first-round quarterback. I mean, our company's been talking about it forever, but literally one of the worst pocket presence that you could see. Constantly just backs up, has no feel for sliding sideways, kicking to the left, climbing the pocket, has no feel for any of that. Essentially half-field reads a lot of the time. When that first read was gone, would go into like crazy mode, like going to like insanity mode, trying to find that next option. You could tell that there was no like just calm, cool presence about that. All I will say about him though is way more arm talent than I expected. When he has time to kind of set up and cock the ball and deliver it the way you want to see it, he can hit that ball in stride with anticipation, with a lot of the things you want to see from an NFL arm. But the problem is he doesn't give himself that amount of time consistently enough. There's a lot of development there that I think that still needs to happen for Shedeur Sanders. My comparison is Geno Smith. I think I honestly really like that comparison, and it's some of the similar struggle. You go and read Geno Smith's write-up on NFL.com right now. Super similar to Shedeur Sanders and where he is in his college career right now. And I think that could be even a similar draft capital projection. Like I think he could be like a round 2 type guy.
He's listed at 6'2", 215.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's anywhere close to 6'2".
Well, he was listed at like 6'1", like 200. Like
I think he was 6 foot coming out of high school too.
Yeah. Like it's just been constantly growing, and I'm not sure if it actually is packing on that kind of weight.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
I echo everything Corey just said. I think he projects really well as a backup. I think he gets drafted. I don't think he's a day one guy. I don't think he has that type of potential. On the call, and I want to give credit to Andy Pham, who did the work for these stats. He mentioned on his podcast, and I just asked him to send it over to me because I didn't want to do the work myself. So Andy Pham, shout out. Thank you for putting the work in for this. The completion percentage with and without Sean Lewis is when they switched systems to Pat Shurmur. With Sean Lewis, 70% completion percentage, without 60%. 357 yards with Sean Lewis, 197 yards per game without Sean Lewis. Big time throw percentage was 2.6%, and then without Sean Lewis was 1%. And then even his career throws, 10 yards or more, that were not between the numbers. I'm talking about like the sideline throws. 52% completion his first year in the SWAC. 46.5% the second year, and then now at Buffalo, 33%. It goes down each year. And I don't think it's a size either. And we just talked about mobility being an issue for me. He's a little bit on the smaller side as far as starting QBs go. I don't know.
And not an athlete either. Like, don't get it twisted. No. He's not a guy that's gonna, I don't think we're gonna be getting any like 4.57 surprise Michael Penix number. And if he does, he certainly doesn't show that mobility.
Yeah, so I think he could be a late day 2 guy, but I think for me, like, that's the ceiling, late day 2.
Yeah, I do. I think there's more arm talent there than I originally thought, but yeah, that's definitely like the one trait that I'm actually just kind of leaning on a little bit, and some name value. I think he's gonna get an opportunity. He might get an opportunity at least because of that name value.
And like, do you think he goes to the draft and he have another 4-8 season? I like ran through their schedule. There's like 4 definite losses, and I think there's like they have like 6 games to me that I like wrote down like a toss up, and I gave it like, if I really wanted to think hard about it, I probably like give them the edge in the toss up games early in the season, and then once injuries in the line come through, like I give the edge to the other teams in the toss up games.
Yeah, like, and that even happened to them. I mean, I know the schedule gets harder. I mean, it's just how college goes. Almost gets harder the way you go, but that's almost what happened to them last year too. They just completely faded down the stretch of like whatever they could do. Injuries started taking their toll. Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball. That obviously doesn't work out for a full season. Like, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, the personality too. Like, I don't know if the NFL teams want that personality. I think that's a lot of maybe some baggage there. Anyway, I don't know. I'm staying away. I have him on some rosters. I'm trying to trade him. It's been unsuccessful.
I will not draft Shadur Sanders in a straight Devy league. I'll let you draft him. But in C2C, I'll take him because he is fairly productive, or he was at least at some point until later on when Sean Lewis left. He wasn't as productive, but he was still pretty good. Let's go on to some honorable mentions here.
I want to talk about Preston Stone in detail here.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about Preston Stone. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's I can't believe you just said that. I let you forgot about me. Anyway, Preston Stone had 3,000 yards last year. Well, 3,200. We'll just round up a little bit. 3,200 for 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's SMU. SMU goes to the ACC, so he's got that Power 5 tag now. He's a fun watch, Corey. Like, I don't think you watched him, but like, he's fun. Like, he could throw it. I think the deep ball is a little bit inaccurate, and that's kind of where he's more inaccurate. But like, I like Preston Stone. Like, this is like shooting from deep might make him like a mascot for me in quarterbacks. Maybe next year if he doesn't go out to the draft. But he's entering year 4 this year. It's year 4.
No, I've liked some of the flashes I've seen, and even some of these things. One of the things you always see with college quarterbacks is, this is something that Devin Leary did a bunch. Looking back at him, they always put the ball right on the receiver. They don't do a good job of leading their receiver, especially on like your crossing routes, or especially, even leading on deeper routes. That was one thing that I thought Preston Stone actually did very well, was actually lead his receivers in some places, lead the receiver on the crossing route, not throwing it behind him. So ball placement was a lot of the things that I thought I saw with Preston Stone. I still think there's some things there that I want to see from him. Another year here, especially playing against, they were playing, correct me if I'm wrong, SMU is Power 5 now, right?
ACC now, yeah. They were with the AAC.
Yeah, so that's going to be a nice step up in competition for him to see how he plays against some of those other people there. They got some like decent weapons there as well, I guess. SMU always seems to be pumping out these like no-name wide receivers that end up doing really well, or being really
Sutton, Rasheed Rice, Emmanuel Sanders.
Productive. Like, who's the next guy in line now? I guess they still have Jordan Hudson there. They still have Jordan Hudson.
Danny Gray got drafted there in the 3rd round.
Somebody transferred over there too. I can't remember the exact name right now. But he's got a decent set of weapons there. Yeah, like he'll be a really interesting guy to watch. I think he could end up just being like the Michael Pratt of this class, where somebody that people at our company hold up very long for a long time and never actually sees the capital we're hoping for. But he's at least somebody we're putting some faith in, at least at this point in evaluation.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't realize the time. Corey's got to go to bed. Let's get to the honorable mentions here. Jalen Milroe from Alabama, great athlete, loves to throw the ball deep. I think he's terrible. Everything's short, intermediate, and like maybe not the best pocket awareness either. Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. Now he's currently injured. Great legs. I hate how he throws the ball. He's like, is he like the white Jordan Travis this year? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I don't know. There's too many people that I think that are like that was one of the main things we got when we posted this was that no Riley Leonard, no Riley Leonard, no Riley Leonard, and it's like, have you guys seen Riley Leonard throw a ball? Like I feel like nobody's seen him throw a ball. Like I'll admit,
it's
very very good mover, and I think some people are on that, especially on the college level. Like a very good mover, very mobile. Impressed me as a rusher and with his mobility. But
he's a discount Will Levis. That's what he is.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the arm of Will Levis. That's what I mean. Like there's the arm strength. Yeah, the arm strength is not there with Riley Leonard, and that's the main issue that I think that will hamper him from going to the next level. So that's my biggest issue with him. With Jalen Milroe, I mean, again, just a guy with all the traits, but we haven't seen a refinement as a passer. This is a big year for him being in the Kalen DeBoer system, but like we're talking about a locks on to first read guy. If it's not there, still locks onto that read, runs around until that first read gets open, forces the ball into that read eventually, or just takes off and runs. Like that's the freaking quarterback is. It's first read, then it's backyard school ball. Like there's no refinement there from a passing thing. And I know that he's enticing because of the traits, but I mean, a lot of people got on us for him not being in our top 10 too. And I agree that there is some projection there that possibly could need to happen, but he's possibly a name I think could at least be in this top 10 by the end of the year, depending on what Kalen DeBoer does with him over there at Alabama.
Brady Cook's another one, system QB. I've mentioned a couple of times. I bet he pops analytically, and I bet the analytical community talks about him probably the most come NFL draft time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's ran that scheme really well last year. Looked like he took some steps forward. If he does another step forward, I think he could be a sneaky rise right now. I don't know how high. I'm not sure I'm going to sit here and say he's a first-round QB, but like he ends up on an NFL team. Like, I'm confident he ends up on an NFL team.
Yeah, he could be one of those interesting, like round 3, round 4 type quarterbacks. Like get on a team with like a shady quarterback situation. They're like, oh, okay, like maybe there's something there that he could. I think there's there's reasonable progression there from where he started to where he's ended up right now, and we could like feasibly see, even with Luther Burden and toe now and stuff too, taking another step forward for himself again here in this, and with that mobility as well. Like he's kind of an interesting guy.
I think 3-4 is the ceiling for me, but I think I don't think he's not drafted. Like I think he's like 6-7 round. Like I think he can get there.
Yeah. Do you think that Florida State quarterback DJU deserves a mention here?
Off name recognition, probably. He bounced back for sure last year. Goes to FSU, and now the wide receivers aren't that good there, and they lost a lot of talent to the draft too. So, if you can like string it together to be a good season, then yeah, I think that's enough. He's got some good tools there too. So I think he could be, again, the way we talked about Brady Cook. Like I can see him sliding into like the 6th, 7th round, and that could happen for DJU.